place where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
What's up, everybody? This is Audio Airstrike, and I'm Everett Hall-McNeill. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 117. I'm privileged and honored to introduce you guys to a very special guest. He has been everywhere, helping people out in need in the city, every day helping people out, also being a mentor to tons of other young generations, and also soaking up game from his own personal experiences. He is currently running for mayor in Baltimore City. Ladies and gentlemen, Carlmichael Stokey Cannady is with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
Right.
I got a question, though, man. You know, this is episode 117. Do you know how that make me feel? Like, where you been? Like, why I ain't get no love from you, man. Like, what's wrong?
We've been out of touch for a while. I've been through a lot, trying to move around with the video stuff and doing a bunch of different things.
Transitioning, but 117 episodes. Like, I should have been like number at least 11 or 12.
I'll say it. I'll be the first. This is the first time I've done this. I usually wait till the end of the podcast to say this. You can come on anytime you want. My
God, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Come on anytime you want.
I thank you for what you're doing. The platform that you have is premium. It's necessary, and it's appreciated. Thank you, man.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I wanted to sit down and talk with you because I wanted to reconnect with you because it was something that I really wanted to do. I didn't forget our first couple times talking, and I definitely feel like at the time there was definitely foundation built in terms of we both kind of had a heart for helping people, and we both started talking and stuff like that. And then as time went on, I saw what you were doing. I saw you were mentoring, from going from mentoring little skies to helping out people in the inner city on a consistent basis, and now you're running for mayor. My first question is, what led you to finally wanting to take a leap and actually become, put a plan together to go after the mayor position?
I mean, honestly, it was almost like a no-brainer. I love my city. Baltimore has always been very supportive of me and my social, personal endeavors, and I thought it was necessary for me to be the change that I want to see. So, unfortunately, we living in a crisis where we're in the 5th straight year of 300+ homicides, which is very disheartening and very unsatisfactory in terms of living in a city that has so much promise, And I thought that it'd be necessary if I got involved in the political spectrum and I could provide some hope, to the hopeless, and motivation to people who don't think they could be more than what they already was. So I decided to talk to my family, my friends, and figure out a way, to make a difference. Baltimore need to change bad. We need a leader who can manage and a manager who can lead. And I've been doing business in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore for the last 10 years. I've been dealing with crisis my entire life. Most, if not all of the problems that are forsaking Baltimore, I can relate to, including the people. So I thought it was necessary for me to get involved again and change the whole entire process of what the politician look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and I think you can attest to this because you've seen it more than me. When I sit over here and I talk with some of my friends who are not from the city,
right? They're
not from that area. They don't understand some of the things that plagues a lot of the people that's there. They don't understand the other side of the coin, and they turn around and rush to judgment. And I'm quick to tell them, I'm like, you don't understand. There's a whole lot of things put in place. Like, you guys are not taking into account redlining. You guys are not taking into account gentrification and poverty. And depending on what zip code you are at, you are only going to get a certain amount of money. There's only certain neighborhoods they're touching and stuff of that nature to help out.
Lack of urban development. You can go on and on. Right?
Huge lack of resources. And for that to constantly be ignored, and for people to sit over there and grossly slander this city that has been suffering for years, it is disheartening to me. And truth be told, I know some people that don't understand how I feel are gonna be like, well, you don't live there.
You can't relate, right?
You can't relate. You don't know what that's. And also on the other side of the coin, it's like, why do you care so much? You don't have to worry about what they have to worry about.
Right.
And as wrong as that is, at the end of the day, there is still human beings. They still bleed the same color that I bleed. Like, they're still good-hearted people in that city. I'm quick to tell somebody, I'm like, look, man, there's still good-hearted people in the city.
I mean, you know, what we have been faced with in Baltimore has been disenfranchisement. People who have been ignored and denied a fair opportunity to succeed and be successful. You speak about redlining, gentrification, poverty, crime, violence. For some reason, it always finds a home in the inner city of Baltimore. And most of those people are black, you know, and they don't have an opportunity to speak for themselves. They don't have a voice or a big enough platform to act for the change they deserve. So we depend on politicians, or whether it be clergy or police, to protect and serve us and do things that we thought, you know, the average person should receive a benefit from. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So then you got hopelessness that sets in, and then you got people who feel like things are never going to change, and they start living out that testament. So for me, it's always been an all-hands-on-deck approach, giving these kids an opportunity to see someone who come from where they come from, who not necessarily made it out, but who changed his thinking, and who making a difference in his life. And at the end of the day, if we have more people doing that, we have more people that's hopeful that change will come. And we can't, you know, always rely on politicians to satisfy or cure all our physiological needs, but they can address some of the things, like you said earlier, about resources that we don't have, to give us the opportunity to compete, succeed with the 21st century cities around America, that we don't have an opportunity to do so because of lack of resources.
Absolutely, absolutely. I also wanted to pick your brain on this. When you sit back and look at the different people now, I'm starting to see, and I'm happy to see this. Yesterday, I was a part of 1,000 men marching for Martin Luther King, and to experience that and to see men of several different generations, 1,000 of us out there, probably 1,000 more, or probably at least 1,000 or a little bit past 1,000, coming together and being like, we're tired of seeing this. And everybody from all walks of life was there to experience that. And you also have been out there with those men on Mondays at times.
Sometimes Mondays, sometimes Saturdays. I've been a part of, you know, the walk that has motivated most of us to stay engaged. Again, I don't hope, but I pray that these moments become movements.
Yes.
And I think that when we perpetuate a positive narrative that was demonstrated yesterday, it gives people hope that things will, in fact, change. And unfortunately, you know, we still marching. You know, unfortunately, we still marching. You think about things that happened in the days of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey. I can go on and on and on. But, you know, honestly, man, I think Baltimore deserves a continuation of deposits from people who can do better for us who haven't, you know, and a lot of it comes from the system that we live in. There are so many systematic failures in Baltimore right now. A lot of it can be attributed to poor leadership. But for the most part, we got to hold ourselves accountable, you know, and do the right thing. And that way, when we know better, we do better. But right now, unfortunately, you don't have people that's hopeful or even inclusive, you know. And that's why when you see monumental movements like yesterday, it's something to be celebrated.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wanted to pick your brain on this. How do we impact young lives so they understand their value? You have a way of doing it to where it comes off very genuine and in a way that it pierces the heart, pierces the soul to make a change. And you get a lot of respect because you've been through half of those. You've been through what they've gone through. You grew up here. You've had those experiences. What are some things that you say that kind of breaks down that barrier between you don't know where I'm coming from to, all right, I'm going to hear you out?
I mean, it's funny you said today I went to a school, Ashworth Middle School, spoke to some 8th graders, 14, 15-year-old kids, and I had to explain to them that my mother died from AIDS. I understand how that feels. My father wasn't in my life. I understand how that feels. So part of my preaching and teaching style is to avoid those kids from making the same mistakes I made. So one thing you got to understand is that in the inner city of Baltimore, or particularly any inner city where there's poverty, crime, and violence, relationship, trust, and respect is always 3 components that can get to the core of the problem. And I can relate to those kids on several fronts. I gave you 2. Being poor, that's 3. Being black, that's 4. I can go on and on. But if you cannot relate to these kids and you haven't been in their life on a consistent basis, then most of the things you attempt to do will fall face forward because they know real from fake, and they've been lied to a lot, and they've been ignored a lot. And when a person doesn't show that they got their best interest, they shut the door in his face.
Right. And the one thing that is very obvious, it's like time is of the essence, and there are a lot of people that preach and talk and they want to help out the city, but it's only for their benefit or to make them look good for photos. I will say this, right? The one thing that kind of sickens me, and I'll go off and I'll say this: we're a very blunt show. Right. I see some people on social media that have somebody in their crew turn around and take a cell phone out while that celebrity is going around doing, giving food to homeless people and this and that. But I'm not, now, as good as that deed is, when it gets put on blast for likes and comments, it starts to become ungenuine.
Someone said the other day about doing something for, I want to say they said unification. It was unity or exploitation. And a lot of people don't necessarily understand what that means. I'm for celebrating people's platform virally so it can be contagious and we can contaminate enough space to a point where as though everybody get involved and engaged.
Absolutely.
But not when it's selfish.
Right.
You have to use these platforms as selfless as possible so everybody can understand exactly what it looks like. I always have friends in higher places who help me coordinate and, demonstrate the give backs that I have been a part of, but it's always from my heart. Like, I don't know if at this age, most people who don't know what their purpose is. I know my purpose is to give back and serve. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel complete. So no matter how much money I made or worth, nothing will take away my purpose. My passion may change. That's something that you can say, I like basketball. Tomorrow I might like bowling, right? Or I like yellow, or I might like black, but your purpose doesn't change. That, to me, is connected to your soul.
All right, absolutely. Because without purpose, people perish. And it's one of those situations where when it comes to what you're doing, what you're called to do, and this and that, it's something that is bigger than yourself based on how you're moving. And I just want to compliment you. Like, you've always kind of moved like you was dealing with something where it was like, I'm here for a bigger purpose that's bigger than me. I don't want to be the face of it. I'm here to be a servant and trying to help. No,
that's true. Because even with this mayor race, it hurts sometimes to see people critical of those that want to help. I don't have a selfish bone in my body, and I think my reputation speaks for itself. I'm not a demigod. I'm not perfect. I done made a lot of mistakes. And outside of seeking atonement and forgiveness, I thought I was doing the right thing by my people. And at the end of the day, for me trying to make the right sacrifices to get back, not only to my community, but to my city, and moving forward, but for some to criticize my attempt and say other things that don't have nothing to do with the race is appalling. But I'm from a family in a neighborhood where as though you can take anything. And they say, well, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And I believe that because I'm from that culture. So my family, my mom, was a very thoroughbred type person, prepared me for days like this. God prepared me for days like this. So, I'm honored to be in the position where as though I can even have a conversation. I don't know how many people who have been through what I've been through can be even discussed in a mayoral race. So that speaks volume about the things I've done for people to even want to support that narrative. You know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed, and I always tell people, what's for me is for me.
All right. Like, sometimes when it comes to like purpose, when it comes to blessing, any of those things, if your name is on it, nobody can take it away from you. Right. If your name is called to carry that out, or this is something that you need to be a part of, or anything of that sort, it is definitely, nobody can really take that away. Because when you're running for mayor, for example, running for mayor and stuff of that nature, because of you're getting into politics, that pushback some of those doubters and criticisms. That's going to come with the territory. But you have when it comes to that, you have a heart of steel because it's like you just push through.
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, honestly, man, why is it that way? Like, people have been trying to tell me about politics are dirty, and I told my team from day one, there are no oppositional research. I'm not running against no one. I'm running for Baltimore.
Right.
And if that's my focus, then it doesn't matter what nobody else say or do. Because if the people choose them, then God bless them. You know?
Right.
But if the people don't choose them and their rhetoric is negative and pessimistic in a way to delay my progress, then I have a problem with that. But other than people saying how they feel about me being able to lead, that's an opinion. You'll never know until I get that position. I do know this. We have people that we can judge who are already in leadership positions who we can judge, good, bad, or indifference. I haven't had that opportunity yet. And what I'm saying is that, you got people that are in government right now that have bigger shoes who never was a politician. Mm-hmm. And they run things like a country, right?
Right.
So for me, it's all about purpose, fulfilling agendas. And right now, I want to fulfill my purpose by giving back to my city, becoming the leader that I know I can become on a broader scale, giving back to those that are in need and helping those who have get more. Because right now we got terrible infrastructure, failing schools. We have a crime problem that's beyond comprehension. We got affordable housing that's not even discussed. We need a new economy. We got to focus on artificial intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Solarizing Baltimore, moving it forward towards a 21st century city. Urban development, bridging the divide, becoming one Baltimore City too. There are things that I want to work on that I can work on once I fix these problems that I know I can relate to. Because I can't ask somebody to fix something that they don't know how it works. And if it's not a leader in Baltimore on April 28th, which turns into November 4th, 5th, whatever the general election is, you can see a continuation or perpetuation of the same things you see now, because these people are not going to relate to the person that's driving.
That's right. That's a good point.
I mean, you
man.
see it now. I'm saying right now, unfortunately, we have a commissioner that has received, in better words, a bad cup. A mayor who got a bad cup, right? But after a while, you gotta say how long they gonna blame that cup.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? They inherit these problems, I get that, but how long are we gonna use that as an excuse to turn things around?
Or a crutch.
Because you see, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, coaches who turn teams around in one season.
Right.
And sometimes when it don't work, that means the coach ain't for that team. I always give analogies and parables. Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, Kevin Durant, those guys are some of the best basketball players I've ever seen. And the first thing they do is align those players up with a good coach. Because when the team doesn't succeed at the level that they think, the first person goes to coach. But why in politics we keep asking for third and fourth chances when we know for a fact it's just not working? Because lives are at stake. We lost 1,970-something bodies. And I want to say, I don't even want to give them numbers. I mean, just human being bodies in 5 years. The whole Iraq war from 2003 to 2011 was only 4,400 and something. And that's a war. So you talking about damn near half of that, and we talking about just a city. So that's problematic. There are hurt people. We can't bring none of those people back, unfortunately. So what we got to do is find ways, policies, and resources that work to give people hope. You got returning citizens that come home and increase the recidivism because they don't think they're going to make it because they got a record and they black. We got to change that stigma and give these people a platform so they can achieve the same success as those who didn't make a mistake. I mean, everybody going to make a mistake, but then you got to ask yourself, why are these guys out here committing crime in the first place? Some just want a decent job and can't afford to take care of their family, so crime is the first option.
Right, because it's fast money at first.
Yeah, wherever there are scarce resources, there's going to be crime, violence, and most likely someone living in poverty. Mm-hmm. That has been around since the days of gold diggers. That ain't going to change.
Right.
So what I like to do is find myself a team of people who believe in my vision, who are good at what they do, and who doesn't mind helping me lead Baltimore in the right direction. And there is no doubt in my mind that if those young men see myself in a position of leadership, that they won't see the need to get that self right, because they gonna see somebody that been through what they've been through, and if I did it, they can do it.
And that's what it's about. It's about leading by example, and you don't waste no time talking. You actually put your words to action. You put your words to action, and it's one of the reasons why I have high respect for what you do.
I appreciate that.
Everything that you touched, from music side of stuff to even outreach and community, you've done that, and I've seen that especially with the Stokey project that you've done, doing different stuff for artists and stuff of that nature, just doing creative stuff. So these younger generations can put their mind towards something a little bit more positive, talk about what they experienced, but it's more constructive than being out on the street. Like, you've made efforts doing that.
I mean, because for one, they say if you know better, you do better. I mean, I like music. It had afforded me a decent life. You know, I love the Stokey project. It's so many different opportunities and objectives that have served this purpose, you know, since, you know, I had started my company. But more than likely, I want to be someone who have a legacy that tilted towards helping people,
right,
than making money off of people.
Right.
And right now, I know when my day comes to say goodbye to this earth, I want to be remembered as someone who cared, someone who gave back. Because again, I tell people all the time, I don't know what type of person Michael Jordan is. I know he's a good athlete. And if I can teach my kids anything, it's to be a good person. Because when your career over, you got to live on your own character. You live off your, you know, scholastic or, you know, athletic ability anymore. Right. You got to live off of who you are as an individual. So, and that's all I hope for, you know, that I'm given the chance to succeed in my individual or my official capacity. But more than that, I'm remembered by the person that I was, who had a good heart and who cared about people. And if I'm given that opportunity, then I mean, I win. Like right now, this race wasn't about becoming mayor, more than it was motivating and inspiring people to do different and become more. Whether it be an engineer, a plumber, or someone who want to, you know, be a DJ. Don't try to do your best, because I've been in a hole. I've been at the bottom, and I found my way out, and I want you to do the same exact thing. But if you see somebody, or if they see somebody doing the work, then it's easy for them to believe it can be achieved. When you don't see it, you don't believe it can happen. Then you need super strong faith, and then you're asking people to be demagogues or things of that nature. And now these young kids, they're not really in the clergy the way they should be to believe in things they don't see.
And that's the sad truth of it all. Like, there has to be, in order for people to really impact, there has to be leadership by example. There has to be a sense of humbleness. Because if you're going to be a leader, you have to be a servant as well. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. With what's going on right now, because I feel like there's an awakening of people that are tired of City Hall, or tired of the politics as usual. Been tired for a while. And I feel like now I'm starting to see a momentous, strong shift where the citizens of Baltimore are coming together and being like, we really want to take this back. We've always seen people help out here and there. It never gets the respect it deserves, I feel like, media-wise. But now it seems like we're getting some serious momentum based on what I've seen. So you're more down here in the trenches than I am. So I just want to get your thoughts. Am I accurate in that situation from a distance?
No, well, from the citizens' engagement perspective, yes. Okay. I've seen young people who tell me they're going to vote for the first time, and I never used to see people talk like that.
Okay.
But as far as the media and certain other publications who have major premium platforms, I think they're a little biased, because you think about myself. I've been in this race since June. Okay. I raised more money than certain candidates, but certain stations won't even report that news. But they'll report other people's news who haven't made more money than me. So I know I'm not a traditional politician, and I know I don't have the same pedigree or come from the same pedigree as some, but don't deny me the opportunity, or the people the opportunity to know the truth. Because if they're afraid that someone might like me, then there is no need for them even being able to say they tell the truth, because they lie by omission. You're leaving some important information out that can change lives. Because if someone sees someone, like you said earlier, that they can relate to and or knows that this person is doing the work, then why not give them that credit? Why try to hide that? So yes, people are getting more engaged. They motivated and they're fatigued at the same time, which is why I think it's promoting the motivation. But then some of the media, if you don't look a certain way or talk a certain way or don't come from a certain demographic, you're not going to get the same fair play. And that's a fact.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially with the political structure, I feel like they're either going to ignore or exploit. And that's just the hard, honest truth. So it's one of them things where you're forced, and because it's set up to where it's like, okay, the system is kind of forcing this, and it's not good for the people that need it. It's just a conundrum. What we need is people like you that are going to sit over there and be transparent. And I think that the lane that you're in is actually more in your favor than what people are giving you credit for, because you're not coming in giving the same song and dance that another politician would. You're talking about the real experiences that you've been through and being transparent and saying, look, this is the situation.
I think, again, it depends on who you talk to. I've been trying to message through my email, through my social network platforms, through interviews, platforms such as this, to reach out to any and everybody who's willing to listen to my story, my plan, and my intentions for Baltimore. And I think, me being a real individual who already has done most of the work that people talk about doing speaks value into my credibility. However, it's some people who are not going to be happy no matter what.
You can't please everybody.
Right, because they stuck to a particular constituent, or they think that a lot of things, they won't come to fruition. Well, you never know if you don't give it a chance. Because right now, I never thought that Obama would become president. I never thought Trump would be president. But, a lot of those things happen, and when they happen, it's just a matter of me just trying to figure out, how to go about changing what those beliefs are. Mm-hmm. And I'm open-minded, I'm objective. I'm not even the type of person, man, to sit back worried about what people say. I'm more concerned about what people are going to do.
Right.
And like I say, for me, it's like, how can I, give everybody what they need, what I'm saying?
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk to you about and give you and just kind of let you have the floor on is I wanted you to have the open floor on about your story, where you came from, and you can kind of give a summary of it all.
No, man, I'm gonna give you a real deal. I come from a place called White Lock, better known as Reservoir Hill. Grew up with my mom and my stepdad until he went to prison, and I was 10 years old. And my biological father never was in my life. He was the first person who actually put drugs in my hand at 10 years old, and I think through that experience, I created what I call addictive behavior. Again, my mom got high or used drugs, majority of my teenage life into adulthood, and, she ended up attracting HIV. She died in 1999 when I was in prison. Went to college, for real estate and psychology, a mixture of both worlds, but I'm from the streets. I never had it easy, but it wasn't so hard where as though I could make excuses. I knew right from wrong, and I chose to make the bad decisions at a point in my life where I could have turned and did something positive. So went to jail for 12 years, came back home, started my company called Stokey Project. I'm all about philanthropy and giving up. My community initiatives is close to my heart and my soul. I love my children, I love my city, and I'm here to say that, no one's perfect. I made some mistakes, but again, I sought atonement and forgiveness by a higher power, so there's nothing man can say to me about the things I've done. I wasn't a bad person. I just got caught up in a culture what normal people would normally do when they need certain things. Again, as I said earlier, with their scarce resources, you find ways to make money. My mom was gone, father wasn't there, so I did what I thought I had to do. And may sound like a cop-out to some, but it is what it is. You have to put yourself in my shoes, which is a form of empathy that a lot of people can't use. So I'm here to tell you, man, that everybody can turn around. Everybody can make a mistake, but everybody also can get back up. And if you don't get up, then that means that you wanted to be down there, and that's not how I want to be remembered.
Right. I think legacy and how you want to be remembered is important, and I think that it's very important that we take the time to not only look at the situations from our perspective, but also the situation from other people's perspective as well, and then come into an agreement where it's like, okay, here's where I need to improve, and here's where I excelled at, and then push forward, without dwelling on the flaws and this and that, because I think that's what stops some people, is they dwell on the flaws and the mistakes, and they're like, oh well, and you know, you allow negative energy to come in and kind of push these. You were this, you're that, you're nothing but this, you're that, you're still that dude that did this. And it's very important that when you hear those things, that you have to put that to the side. That's who you were. That's not who you are now.
Yeah, but you know, you said it earlier, a lot of people, man, don't necessarily believe in change. And it's not, I don't know, it's a race or class or just understanding that, you know, we all make mistakes. There's some beautiful people in the world that made mistakes. I mean, Obama was the best president ever. He said he smoked weed. They don't make him a junkie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you got some people who perpetuate a negative narrative to this very day and talk openly about it, and people get them the world.
Yeah.
So we got statues of people that believe in Confederacy and things like that, and they value them like they value God. So it depends on the person. You know, I'm here to say, yeah, I made mistakes. I'm not running from that. I've been running on my platform for 10 years, man. That's why I get back. I mean, I've been invited to congressional inaugurations, state of the city address by former mayors, you know, police commissioners and Department of Justice commissions, you know, things that really help get back to the city in a way where as though my experience speaks volume to what I've been through, but not in a negative way. And I've been home 10 years, man. I don't have a speeding ticket. You know, I don't owe anybody nothing. I mean, I do very well for myself. So I'm here to tell you, man, that God allows second chances. Why shouldn't man?
Right. Right. It's true. It's true. I think especially now, especially with how social media is, especially with how instant gratification is, and you could pull something up on somebody in 15 seconds or less, we tend to rush to these conclusions, and sometimes we don't even know the source we're getting the information from is accurate. And then the judgmental culture that is growing in America just kind of spirals into everything else, and people don't realize the devastation that hurts.
I mean, I think some people do because, again, it's been normalized. So we go through it a lot in our community, but those who can fix it tend to ignore it because some people don't really look like they supposed to look or have what they're supposed to have, and then you got those that benefit from our demise, and some of us crumble because of our demise. So you got to look at it both ways. There are two Baltimores right now. And, you know, you talking about the education system. We 24th in this. We got 24% graduation rate, where you last in the state, and you got people like Carroll County who #1 with 95%. Why is it like that? It's a reason why. So let's figure out what that reason is and fix it and give these kids a chance to succeed and compete, you know, for a better future. And by doing that, we need to incorporate education or technology and things they need. You know, we can't be first with last or secondhand equipment. That's not going to happen.
Right.
You know,
I want to dig in more about the two different Baltimores from your perspective. I want to dig into that more because I feel like that's a conversation that people need to hear. Right. Because there are people that are outside the city that don't have a clue that Baltimore is now sectioned off. You
spoke earlier about redlining, right? And then we got the white flight, the black flight, and then we got gentrification, right? Let's be honest. There are people who make a certain amount of money in one part of Baltimore, and some people make a certain amount of money in another part of Baltimore. For instance, the average household income in 21217 may be approximately $27,000. And then you might have someone living 21201, might be 80-something thousand. So, of course, those individuals that make more can do more, and they're going to want more, but they got different needs. Right. Because you got people living 21217 may be full of poverty, and they might want crime to be decreased or better schools, you know what I'm saying, affordable housing. But then you look at 21201, they might want bike trails, dog parks, infrastructure, more development, you know. So you talking about one Baltimore with two different initiatives. And it's like that everywhere, but not like the disparity is in Baltimore, I think, because I think if it trickled down in a way where as though it would be more benefactors, you know, you'll see a change. And right now, that's been ignored for as long as I can remember, because people shouldn't really celebrate when they go to one part of town because they're not used to being there. You know, every year you go down in the harbor, it's like a celebration. Because not every day somebody can go down there and enjoy themselves. It has to be like a holiday. Right. Now, we don't go down there every day because it's like, a thing to do. Let's go down to the harbor and eat pizza. No. People go down there when they celebrate.
Right. It's true. It's a fact. There's it's like two different sides of a city. And people, and depending on where you're at, depending on where you come from, you may only see one side and not get the whole picture.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them situations where we definitely got to be open-minded in that regard. I wanted to kind of get a testimony from you about, what is the most memorable story of somebody that you mentored or touched that changed their lives for the better, and now they're doing successfully well?
Well, it got to be my son, a kid by the name of Kendall White. I met him maybe 2012, 2011 in the group home. I was a house manager, and he came in there from prison, and I was giving him a tour of the house, and he was telling me that there was no need because he wasn't going to be there long. And I was like, yeah, well, I got to do my job. I got to explain to you policies, protocol, and things of that nature so you can get acclimated and, hopefully you have a successful stay here. So I did the drill, showed him where he sleep at, where the workout room, food schedule and things of that nature. But he ended up staying. And he became a very close person to me in ways where it wasn't no longer job related. I wanted what was best for him. And these kids age out at 21. So, but prior to him aging out, by him listening to me, he was able to get his high school diploma. He was able to get his driver's license. He was able to get 1 job, 2 jobs, and open up bank accounts. And I ended up adopting him. So now he's still in my life. Only thing that's changed is his last name, but he's very successful, works for the city, hasn't been in any trouble. I mean, he doesn't have any kids. Like he went around just making a mess out of himself like I did when I was little. He is a very good person, man. He's very respectful, and I love him to death. You know what I'm saying? That was probably one of the best investments I ever made, and one of the best things that ever happened to me at that job was for him to come into my life. He's so successful, man. He's a great person, and it shows me that all he needed was somebody in his life, and he turned his life around. And I'm glad you brought it up because I don't ever use that story to testify about things that can happen with leadership or with someone good in your life, And I met him in a group home at the darkest time of his life when everybody gave up on him, and now he lives with me to this day. We can't put him out, you know what I'm saying? He works every single day, got a car. Like I said, he got a bank account. He got a motorcycle. He's doing real well for himself, man, and I'm so proud of him. So if anything I can think of since I've been home, and I don't help people all over, but this is one of the stories from beginning to end that I think that has a lot to do with my presence in his life.
And I think that's another key too. And I think with people, and I think we hit kind of the nail on the head earlier about being there on a consistent basis and really touching these people is very important because they will read you very quickly.
Yes.
And to sit down and actually talk with somebody and to be there consistently day after day after day, even if it's just, hey man, just calling to check up on you, make sure you're good. You need anything? Even just, hey, are you going through something? I'm here to listen. Or hey, let's figure out how to work this together. Like simple stuff like that goes a long way over a consistent long period of time. And they'll never forget that.
It's kind of sad because there was so many of those kids I love. And unfortunately, I didn't have all the resources I need to save the rest, but it really bothered me because I felt the same about all of them. Kendall was just one of the few guys that listened. But it really bothered me, and I've received a lot of trauma from that because those kids came to that program to get help. And a lot of them left without receiving it because they was either addicted to drugs or they were traumatized to the point where as though they need to be another institution. But it affected me because I loved them and I got so used to them, and not being able to help them was like one of the most hardest things I had to experience, and it still affects me to this day. And I see them, they still call me Pop, stay in contact with me. We lost some, through drug addiction, through murder, but they were some good kids, and a lot of them, all they wanted was to be loved, and unfortunately, that program was business, but I fell in love with those kids, and again, like I said, I adopted one who's in my life right now, but I wish I could have adopted all of them if I had it my way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
But, everything happened for a reason, I'm glad I was able to touch one of them, and I think I touched a lot of them, but maybe the results wasn't the same, but they know I cared. That's all I care about.
Right, and I think that goes a long way. I think when you show that you care and that you're in it and that you're letting them know that you're there, I think it goes a long way.
Right.
Because these kids grow up, and a lot of different generations grow up and they feel like nobody's checking for me, nobody really cares about me, nobody loves me, I have to do this on my own and figure it out somehow. That's a lonely spot to be at.
Man, I never been there before because I always had grandparents or aunts or uncles to fall back on, but I can imagine how that felt because most, if not all, of the decisions they made was based on someone not being in their life to supervise them. You know, and the kids should always be able to have someone to lean on. They don't actually come in this world to be left alone. You know, and like I said, hopefully, man, if when I'm elected, I'm gonna claim it. I'm able to create resources, opportunities for people to increase their family ties and make sure that everything in the child's life is there for him or her to receive to better their chances on being successful and not ever have to feel like being alone. You know, we have wraparound services, family resource centers, hubs, incubators, whatever we need in the community to make sure these kids are equipped. I want to make sure that happens.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Is there any message that you want to send to anybody out there, young or old, don't matter, anybody in the community that's going through the struggle right now?
I want to tell you not to give up, love over hate, and for all those young kids who want to be the change they want to see or be involved in change, you first got to ask yourself, what are the things you got to do? There are certain prerequisites in life to change. And right now, this political spectrum or this paradigm has been ruling with an iron fist. And the future generation has to engage by registering to vote at 17 years old and then voting for the person or people that you think going to change your life. And I just ask that you do your research, not only on myself, but any other candidate that wants to be in control of your life. You know, I pray it's me because I know my heart in the right place, but I just want y'all guys to register and then vote and then let God do the rest, because at that point you obeyed your civil duties. And not doing so and complaining is asinine. That's just total ignorance to me. So I just hope everybody will get engaged and know how serious this is, and let's be the change we want to see.
Absolutely, man. Well, there you have it. There you have it, man.
Oh, yeah, one more thing. And I want to see more people give opportunities like you, man. Create more platforms for non-traditional guys like myself to come on and tell that story, you know, unscripted, you know what I'm saying, you know, and in a way where people can understand the messenger and the message. So I want to thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Keep doing a good job, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Same here, man. The feeling is mutual. The reason why this podcast was started, because I wanted to open up dialogue, not just about pop culture like everybody else, but I also wanted to add the notion of self-help and also taking the topics that we talk about and how does that affect people socially? How does that affect people ethically? In what ways, instead of talking about the problem, can we figure out the solution? And how do we break down? How do we pierce the heart instead of just focusing on, you know, the mind and trying to figure that out? We need to focus on figuring out both. And I think it's really important that platforms like this or other platforms that are similar to mine and other people like Stokey that are standing in the gap and trying to answer those questions and trying to also help people out, we're needed, because these are questions that people have every day, but they don't have the resources to get the answers, or they're trying to seek the answers, but they got to get past all this negative propaganda and whatnot.
Bias media. I try to say fake news.
Right. And depending on who's buying the company, is basically their vision, their opinion.
I told my team that, man, I said, you can't worry about who don't call us, worry about who do.
Right.
And we just be prepared to show up. So I'm good. I mean, I gotta say, man, I'm end on this. Thank you, man. And I tell people all the time, what God got for me is for me. And I'm on deck for anything and everything that has something to do with changing my city. So again, thank you, man.
Absolutely. And I just also want you to know that we definitely appreciate all your endeavors, and I wanted to let you know this firsthand, that anything that you need help-wise, whether it's with this platform or anything of my services, you have that at your disposal. Just hit me up anytime.
My God, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem,
man.
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll definitely hit you up.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. This has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Until next time, everybody, make sure if you are in the Baltimore City area, you're a resident, put your vote in for Stokey. And he could definitely make a great change. He's very, 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 very transparent, very, very honest. And if you've listened to this whole interview, now you know why. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you. Thank you so much.